Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really fundamental, journalistic integrity. Why it's just so critical for media leaders today.
Absolutely. And it's not just some, abstract concept for media insight.
Yeah, exactly. It affects you listening right now. I
Yep.
mean, there's so much information out there, right? And misinformation, too.
Mm-hmm. Knowing who or what to trust is, well, it's essential for just making sense of things.
Right. So understanding the principles behind reliable sources helps you make informed decisions, helps you sort of develop a better view of what's happening.
And that's why we're doing this deep dive today. We're digging into insights from Dr. Alexis Davis.
Yeah, specifically her article, Journalistic Integrity, the greatest asset of every media leader in today's world. Really interesting stuff.
It really is. And she highlights this central tension, this constant sort of pull.
Between what sensationalism, getting clicks.
Yeah, that temptation versus the absolute need for trust. It's a real balancing act.
Definitely. Okay, so let's get into the meat of it. Dr. Davis talks about a pretty big shift in where people are actually getting their news now.
Oh, yeah. It's not just the legacy media anymore.
Not at all. People are turning to, TikTok, Reddit, Substack, even long-form YouTube.
Right. Which is fascinating. Have you noticed that yourself? Where are you finding yourself drawn?
I mean, yeah, you see it everywhere. And the question Davis raises is why? Why this shift?
And her take is interesting. It's not necessarily that these platforms are like factually superior. It's more about a feeling, a perception that they offer stories, maybe perspectives you don't get elsewhere, something raw, more honest maybe.
Less polished, perhaps, which does make you think.
It really does, and Davis is pretty blunt about the stakes. For media leaders, losing trust, that's basically game over.
It's not just a setback. It's like losing everything.
Exactly. And she makes this great point that it's not just media leaders, anyone shaping public perception.
Like in healthcare, education.
Yeah, or even like the beauty industry she mentions. Anyone influencing how people think, integrity is key.
So her core argument is that, especially now, integrity isn't just, a nice thing to have.
No, it's fundamental. It's the bedrock. Your core asset, really.
Right. Okay, let's switch gears a bit to that temptation you mentioned, sensationalism.
Ah, yes. The lure of the click.
It's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Davis totally acknowledges that. Chasing those dramatic stories, the stuff that gets immediate attention and engagement.
Of course. And look, it can work in the short term. You get the eyeballs, the shares.
But there's always a but.
Right. But Davis argues pretty strongly that it just doesn't build loyalty. It's fleeting attention.
Because what audiences really want, she says, is actually something else.
Transparency, context, fairness.
Think about it yourself, right? When you're trying to understand something complex, isn't that what you value? You want the whole picture.
Absolutely. And if people sense they're getting spin, or just one side, or it's exaggerated.
They check out.
They check out. They disengage. And Davis says they probably won't come back. That trust is hard to rebuild.
So, okay, if sensationalism is a trap, how do media outlets lead with integrity but still, survive and thrive?
Well, this is where Davis offers some really practical advice. Strategies.
Good. Let's hear them. First up, something about internal accountability.
Yeah, and this is key. She emphasizes being proactive. Don't wait for a public backlash.
Right. Fix it before it breaks.
Kind of. It's about having regular checks on editorial standards, creating a culture where staff actually feel safe, saying, hang on, is this story a bit one-sided? Are we exaggerating here?
So it starts inside the organization.
Precisely. Integrity isn't just an external image. It has to be built into the internal workings.
Makes sense. Okay, what's next? Prioritizing.
Yeah.
Context over controversy.
Exactly. When a story is super emotional or it's trending like crazy.
The easy thing is just to jump on the bandwagon, amplify the outrage.
Right. But Davis argues for the opposite. Provide the full picture. Give people a comprehensive understanding.
Like adding expert voices, maybe some history?
Yes. Historical context, balanced perspectives. The goal isn't just to trigger a reaction. It's to help people actually understand the nuances. We've all seen those headlines where you just know there's more to it.
Totally. Okay, number 3, being transparent about the process.
Yeah, basically just being honest.
Yeah.
If information is still coming in or something's not confirmed,
Just say that.
just say that. Be upfront. And if you make a mistake, which happens, own it. Highlight the correction. Don't bury it.
That seems counterintuitive to some, maybe? Like admitting weakness?
But Davis argues it does the opposite in the long run. That honesty, it builds massive credibility. It shows you respect the audience.
Okay, that leads kind of naturally into the next point, doesn't it? avoiding personal bias and mob mentality.
Oh, that's a huge challenge today.
Yeah.
Especially, on social media where things just explode.
Groupthink, getting swept up.
Exactly. Davis says teams need to constantly ask themselves some tough questions. Like, am I reporting facts here? Or am I just pushing my own feelings? Or even if I feel really strongly about this, am I still being fair?
So leadership means staying grounded, objective, even when it's noisy.
That's the idea. Keeping your head when everyone else is losing theirs, so to speak.
Important. Okay, next, diversifying newsrooms and sources.
Yes, and she frames this not just as like a social good or optics.
Which it is.
Which it is, absolutely. But she argues it's fundamental to accurate reporting.
How so?
Because if your team and your sources all look and think the same, you're missing huge parts of reality, including underrepresented voices, gives you a truer picture.
And she connects this back to why people go to those other platforms, right?
Directly. They're looking for the perspectives they feel are missing from the mainstream. So diversity isn't just nice, it makes the reporting better, more reflective of the actual world.
Got it. What about engaging audiences?
Authentically engaging them, not just broadcasting at them.
So like live Q&As, behind-the-scenes stuff.
Things like that, yeah. Explainers. It fosters a sense of inclusion, Davis says. Even if people disagree with a story, if they feel heard and understand the process.
They're more likely to stick around, to still trust the outlet overall.
That's the argument. It builds community, not just passive consumption.
Interesting. She also pushes for investing in long-form, in-depth reporting, which feels kind of old school in a way.
Maybe, but her point is powerful. Sure, quick hits drive traffic right now, but lasting impact, real value.
That comes from the deeper dives.
Yeah.
The substantive stuff.
Exactly. Those well-researched pieces are what differentiate you. They show a real commitment beyond just chasing the latest trend.
And you can still make that compelling, right? It doesn't have to be dry just because it's factual.
Not at all. Davis emphasizes training teams for powerful and truthful writing. You can tell an engaging story without sacrificing accuracy or using misleading tricks.
So good writing and integrity aren't mutually exclusive.
Absolutely not. Skilled journalists do it all the time.
Okay, one last strategy she mentions. Using social media as a listening tool.
Right. Not just as a megaphone to push your content out.
But to actually, listen. On platforms like TikTok.
Yeah. Understand what people are talking about, what they're interested in, what gaps they see in coverage, what frustrates them.
And use that to inform editorial choices.
Meaningfully inform them, not just copy what's going viral, but really understand the audience's needs and interests. It's about being responsive.
Wow, okay. So putting all those pieces together, the core message from Dr. Davis seems crystal clear.
Yeah, it really boils down to this. Trust. That's the currency.
The fundamental currency of media today. And integrity is how you earn it, period.
And she has a pretty high opinion of today's audiences, too. She calls them smart, discerning, and done with being misled.
I like that. People are savvy. They can spin a mile off.
They really can. And they will gravitate towards sources they believe are being straight with them.
So the consequence is pretty stark. Ignore integrity, and your audience leaves.
They'll find somewhere else. But Davis is actually quite optimistic, too.
Oh, yeah? How so?
She truly believes that the outlets that really commit to being grounded, fair, factual, they won't just survive this chaotic environment.
They'll lead.
They'll lead. They'll become that calm, consistent, and honest voice that people are desperately looking for. The ones that stand out from all the noise.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the big takeaways from Dr. Davis for everyone listening.
Please do.
All right. Basically, in this media world we're in, where people are actively looking for sources they can trust, journalistic integrity isn't optional. It's essential.
Non-negotiable, really.
Right. Chasing sensationalism might give you a quick sugar rush, but it burns out trust fast.
Which is the thing audiences actually value long-term.
Exactly. So media leaders need to focus on being transparent, providing context, sticking to ethical practices.
Yeah.
That's how you build real credibility. And for you, the listener, trying to navigate all this information, understanding these ideas is super helpful.
It really equips you.
Yeah, it helps you become a more discerning news consumer, better at spotting reliable sources, seeing through the noise. It helps you manage that feeling of information overload, maybe.
Absolutely. It gives you a framework.
So we want to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on.
When you are looking at news, reading articles, watching videos, what specific things make you trust a source? What actions or qualities really earn your confidence?
And maybe think about how the rise of all these other platforms we mentioned, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, how has that actually changed your own media habits? Where do you go and why?